Hey guys, it's Dude One here, and today we're doing a special episode of Two Dudes Talking. I have my friend here, my university friend here, and he's going to be filling in for Dude Two.
Yes, hello, I am Dude 2. My name is Kenji Sato. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, so Kenji is actually a really special guest. Kenji is actually a proper journalist, like a real life journalist. He's worked at a couple of good newspapers, and he's going to bring his expertise in today's topic.
Yes, exactly. I don't know what expertise I have. I'm half Japanese. Does that qualify me at all? I don't
I
know.
think that's more than enough. You know, you must be a true anime fan because you come from Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but this is the kind of question that I've always asked, this philosophical question. Does that, being half Japanese and liking anime, does that make me like a weeaboo? Or does that make me an otaku? Ooh, existential angst.
Why can't you be both?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you've seen
Double
that.
nerd.
You've seen that taco, that El Paso ad. You know, why not both? Like you're basically
Yeah,
both.
Iconic
Iconic ad.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
So I could be double nerdy in that sense.
Well, today's topic is it's a good one, and if you haven't realized already, we have Naruto here from the anime called Naruto, and Izuku Midoriya from My Hero Academia, and we're basically going to be talking about the future of Shonen Jump and where Shonen anime is going to be going.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I really wanted to talk about this topic because I remember, like, 5 or so years ago, like, everybody in the AniTube community was convinced that the death of Shonen was nigh because Naruto was wrapping up, Bleach was wrapping up, and One Piece was just dragging along interminably. And so people thought that, well, oh my god, what's going to happen when these conclude? Like, will just Shonen just Jump be like a shadow of its former self or anything like that? And I'm convinced that the opposite has happened. I think that, like, now that this oligopoly has been torn apart, I think now we're living in the golden age of shonen anime, right? Where you've got a lot of really great and really, like, and this is really, like, a key thing, a really short, like, anime that actually ends as well, right? Anime that, like, wraps up before it reaches the 100 episode mark.
We're definitely in a different time period. Like when I was in high school, and that's basically the most predominant time that I was watching anime and reading manga. I was watching things that never ended. They were always ongoing. Your Naruto, your Bleach, your One Piece. These animes, they don't end. They just keep on going. I think Detective Conan is another one of those animes that was like that. Inuyasha, I watched this after the fact, but it is also the same thing. It just keeps going on and on and on and on.
Or, like, One Piece is still how many episodes does One Piece have? It's like 500, 600?
700, 800 plus now.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot of episodes of One Piece out there.
Yeah, and at this point, like, a lot of people, like, started watching One Piece when they were, like, 10 years old, and now they're 40, year old salarymen.
Yeah.
And they keep watching it. It's like, basically, like, The Simpsons of Japan.
Well, Gintama was the Simpsons of Japan.
Yeah.
Gintama is the Simpsons of Japan.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that manga and that anime, even though half the time I don't know what the hell's going on because the references are just so bizarre.
And it just keeps going, and it really causes a problem because it takes a long time to, like, write a manga. So inevitably, when the anime catches up to the manga, then they start having to just invent filler episodes, or they have to do the Dragon Ball Z.
Gintama was another ongoing anime, but then they stopped it, restarted it, came out with a movie, and then I think they're gonna finish the final arcs now.
Yeah.
Same thing with Bleach. Bleach was another thing that wasn't finished and is going to be finished off now.
Yeah, but the fantastic thing, like, I think Gintama's a bit of an exception because it's a comedy anime. And it also, like, references, like, popular culture, things that are happening in Japan at the time.
You can never accuse Gintama of being stagnant or doing the same thing over and over again. The problem is they're always doing something new, but they're so out there that, the typical shonen viewer probably won't attach themselves to that anime.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really like the concept of, Gintama, Gintoki, Shinpachi, and Kagura. That trio is like an iconic trio.
Yeah. And it just, like, the genres keep on changing. That's what I love about, like, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, right?
I hate JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
You hate JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
my
You're disqualified
God, dude.
immediately from being a weeb.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Why?
Like, what the hell? Like, you know what they're doing now? Like, it's we're time travel. We're in the B universe now.
Yeah.
What kind of
But
bullshit is that?
That's the great thing about, like, JoJo's, right? Like, they just, like, will totally, like, change the genres. They'll just kill off main characters. They'll just, like, uphaul everything. They'll, like, just pick a new, like, power system.
They've always been the type to kill off main characters. That's what happened that's what happened in Arc 1. They killed off the main character in Arc 1.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that
then
was just a
Dio
mind-blowing thing. Yeah.
Dio attached his head on the main character's body.
Yeah.
Like, Like, come on, they've been doing that for ages, but that's not my problem. It's, everything that's happened so far is now non-sequential.
Yeah.
It's like the X-Men series. You have like X-Men 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have like some of the Wolverine series. Wolverine X-Men Origins.
Yeah.
You have the one where they go to Japan. I think it's called The Wolverine, and then you have X-Men: Days of Future Past.
Or do they even have one where like it's like Batman but in Japan?
No,
that's the one you're referring to.
Well, that's the X-Men. It's called The Wolverine, and it goes to Japan.
Right.
And then you have X-Men: Days of Future Past, and it's like, yeah, this film series that we've made like $1 billion off.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter anymore. We're gonna be doing something new from now on. Are you serious? That's how you end the series? You just retcon the entire shit? That's the worst way to do it.
But I feel like this is a new trend in media in general. They take the same concept, but with a slight twist, like isekai anime, where you go to another world, but like each one, they're almost identical, but with a slight... this time it's isekai, but this time it's with his mum, or isekai, but he has a mobile phone, or isekai, but he's a slime monster, kind of thing. It's just the same thing with
Isekai's a little bit different. Isekai has always been around.
Yeah.
There was a anime, I think it was called The Familiar of Zero.
Oh!
Yeah, and you had Louise and...
I love it so much.
Yeah, Louise and Saito. That's a really good isekai anime. I really love that isekai anime.
Yeah.
And that came out so long ago. Shakugan no Shana is almost like an isekai anime.
Sort of, but it's sort of like reverse isekai.
Towards the end, it becomes an isekai anime.
Yeah. But it's sort of the reverse. It's sort of like the other world coming into the real world, as opposed to the main character going
Sword
to
Art Online is probably the thing that it started the mass popularization of isekai anime, but it's not an isekai anime.
Can you defend? So on YouTube, because you like Sword Art Online,
liking
Sword Art Online in some people disqualifies you from having any opinions, valid opinions, ever again.
Some YouTubers have made their bones on shitting on Sword Art Online.
Yeah, they've made their entire YouTube careers on shitting on Sword Art Online.
But the first 14 episodes of Sword Art Online are pure gold. The shit that comes after that, you cannot accuse me of I don't like that stuff, especially the part where that guy, that 24-year-old, that salaryman molests a 14 or 15-year-old girl. That's some pretty bad shit. That shit scarred me for ages. Just seeing that kind of a crap.
Oh, that's not the worst.
That's the it's called, what is that called? That thing where it's called NTR or some shit.
Yeah.
NTR or some shit.
Yeah. Or in English, just being
it's
cuckoldry, being cucked.
What the hell is this bullshit?
Oh, I don't know. There is certainly... I can empathize. There is a market for people who like the idea of being cucked. But basically, every major female character in Sword Art Online gets, almost molested at some point until Kirito comes in and saves them. And that's why people
Yuki didn't. Yuki didn't.
Oh, yeah, she's an exception.
But she was AI anyway.
Yeah, exactly. She's too small to...
Well, not an AI, but she basically lived in the virtual world her entire life type of thing.
Yeah. Even he wouldn't go that far, molesting this tiny, AR pixie fairy.
In the Alicization Rising arcs,
I actually really love Alicization.
He went pretty far, there was some criticism of how, the scenes with Leafa and a lot of other characters were animated.
Yeah.
But
really animated, because I think that's the one thing that nobody can criticize Sword Art Online for is the animation. I feel like it's animated so spectacular.
No, it's animated well. It's just what they animated.
Oh, I see too much jiggling.
Tentacles and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I guess, the Sword Art Online fan base, I guess, has always kind of been like that. It is essentially the harem animes of harem animes.
Yeah.
The only distinction is that he's kind of said, I'm only gonna go out with this one girl.
Yeah.
And that's Asuna, but his actions and everything that happens story wise kind of takes us to the contrary. So you kind of want some affirmation that this is where he's really gonna go. But his alternatives at the moment is a robot chick and Asuna. And, I think
why not both?
The robot chick wants it to go both ways. I think, or in the light novels at least. But the robot chick is actually his best virtual friend's girlfriend. And so it's kind of scummy.
But this is the annoying thing. I always want them to go the harem route, the old El Paso route, if you will.
There's actually a few animes that have done that.
Yeah, exactly.
But they've gone full blown harem route.
Yeah. one of the main criticisms of Sword Art Online is that it's a bit of a wish fulfillment fantasy as well. And my response to that is, what's wrong with that? Like, because I feel like, because I must admit, I really liked Sword Art Online as well. Like, I could understand the criticism.
I binged the 24 episodes in like a day.
Yeah. I can understand the criticisms to it, that it's very, like, in a sense, wish fulfillment fantasy, and the main character gets everything he wants, and it's just basically the author's
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, especially not in the later arcs, but basically, like, it's basically the author just writing his ultimate ideal fantasy, where like this nerd suddenly becomes this alpha Chad because he's good at video games. And I feel like as a kid, because I watched it, I think I was like 15, 16 when I watched it, and I remember like, as a 15, 6-year-old, that's just mind-blowing. Like, whoa! Imagine, like... Because I was a nerd as well, if you couldn't tell.
Sword Art Online was originally a web novel. And the thing was, it was a lot more archaic and a lot more medieval at the time. Especially in some of the... and the way it treated its female characters. And, you know, the initial Alicization... anime. So there's two parts to Alicization. So there's the original 24 or 25 episodes. And then there's the secondary, I think it's like 23 or 24 episodes. That's, you know, covers the second part of that arc. The original Alicization arc did things that, like, you know, it kind of got people talking because there was a scene where this NPC character was about to rape another NPC character. And, you know, people are like...
Oh, that scene, and he dives,
he
dives. While going...
This
is another criticism to people, and this one I also, like, I'm a bit annoyed by, is that all of the Sword Art Online villains are just kind of...
Oh, they're like the shitbags of the universe.
And they do the Sword Art Online evil face, where they've got their tongue kind of out, and they go the evil eyes, and then the evil music is in the background.
The author apologized, Ray Kaiwaria, like... forgive me if I'm not saying his name properly, but I was more interested in the anime than the author. But Ray said that, you know... Here's the thing, that when I was writing this, I was in a different stage of my life, and, you know, he's kind of self-publishing, so when you're self-publishing, as someone who self-publishes their own work, you know, you can go anywhere. There's no editor to say, okay, you can't do this.
Imagine that conversation with the editor, like, maybe don't have, like, evil rape scene, you know, kind of thing in every arc. And I'm pretty sure there's one in pretty much every arc, at least in the beginning.
Well, you know, in the original 14 episodes, so the Ironclad arc, you know, there is no real rape scene, but there are characters...
There's the tentacle one!
Not an Ironclad.
Oh, no, Ironclad one, alright.
But there are arcs where you have male characters, like, leering and lusting over characters.
And then... But, like, all of these events are an excuse for the author to, like, have, like, Kirito gallantly come in and save the damsel. Like, no, it's a kind of, like, back off. Didn't you know that rape is wrong? And then they go... And then the girl falls in love with him for, like...
Well, you know, and that's the thing. You know, Ray Kaiwaria actually evolved his work, and his... lesser-known series, like, only true fans of Ray will know, Accel World is, like, the total opposite of that.
Where the character is, like, the ultimate loser.
He's like a short, fat kid.
You
know, he's like a short, fat kid, and yes, he somehow gets the main female character to fall in love with him, but, you know, they're not a sure thing throughout the entire anime. And I think he more or less stays true to her throughout the series, like, more or less, I say, because, you know, there are other characters that come across. But it's actually a better series, even though it's less liked, because it's a little bit more grounded, and it goes through the whole bullying and harassment thing. And the fact that, you know, the reason why this kid is short and fat is because he's kind of got his dad left early on. He's got low self-esteem. He doesn't think too highly of himself, and that's why he finds comfort in food.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
And that's quite a nuanced point.
And the other thing I really love that a lot of people criticize is the premise, right? Trapped in the video game kind of premise. But I just find that really awesome as well. Like, I think that a lot of these...
Well, that's why Ironclad should have gone a lot longer. You
You
know, it should have... And that's why they're doing Sword Art Online Progressive now. Which basically covers the events that happened on, like, the 75 floors of the original Sword Art Online game. Because they only get to floor 75. And he's given the option of taking on the main boss early.
And that kind of stuff, like, I really love that, like, in-between kind of stuff. Like, where they're, like, in the video game, the nuts and bolts, the mechanics, and the kind of being in a video game as well, which I really love. Because it's just an awesome premise. Like, people say it's cliche, it's overdone, but I think cliches are cliches for a reason. It's because they're, like, awesome premises as well. Same thing like Isekai. Like, ordinary guy, you live in a boring, ordinary world. And then suddenly you get sucked into, like, a totally new fantasy world. And it's, like, totally new and exciting. Like, to me, like, that is awesome. Like, because you can imagine, you can just put yourself into the position of the main character. Like, whoa. Like, imagine if...
I don't know, some Isekais are better than others. Like, I know a lot of people are hyped for RE0, and I know it's a very deep anime.
I love that. Have you watched ReZero?
I have looked at it. I saw the premise. I watched a couple of like snippets here and there. It's not my type of thing because he's a bit of a simp.
I guess. But here's the thing I really love about kind of ReZero, right? Is that the main character is like a mega loser. But...
And a simp.
Yeah, and a simp. Yeah. But because he keeps on making mistakes and like dying and coming back to life again, he's forced to confront his own like kind of inadequacies, and then eventually like.
Well, I saw in the latest episode that this is a spoiler field talk, so we've already told you guys. But in the latest episode, he was forced to see the consequences of his deaths in each of the different timelines.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so in season 2, in ReZero season 2, I don't watch it, I follow things, but he was forced to see the consequences of his deaths and his failure in the different timelines.
So all those timelines keep existing. So is it?
Well, I guess so, but not really.
Because I remember my mind was blown by the whole Steins Gate anime.
That was cool.
And they kind of reconcile like the time travel paradox with this in this world, because each of the timelines continues to exist.
Yeah, continues to exist.
He's not actually traveling time; he's actually jumping into another timeline, and that resolves like the time kind of paradox.
Yeah, but he has to he basically goes back and then jumps to another one by acting differently.
Yeah, exactly. But that kind of raises a philosophical problem, because he's not actually saving anyone. He's just moving to a world where everyone is saved.
Well, technically, because if he doesn't move to the next timeline, he doesn't create it. So he has to create a timeline where Kurisu and who is the Tururu girl again? I don't know her name. She's like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, Mayuri or something.
Oh yeah, Mayuri.
Yeah.
And Mayuri live.
Yeah.
And I think there's a point where he's probably happy that he would die, but and they would live, but he never finds that type of timeline.
Yeah.
He actually just goes through timelines living where he always survives.
Yeah.
And it's either his love interest or this childhood friend of his that dies.
Yeah.
And the way he actually succeeds is that he has to live the entirety of a beta timeline where Kurisu dies. And they exist in the post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
And then that version of him sends a message to the present him to tell him how to save.
Yeah.
Both Kurisu and Mayuri.
Yeah.
And that's how he enters the Alpha timeline.
Oh, it's so good, man.
It's a really good anime.
Yeah, and it's really good, and it's the perfect adaptation, because it starts off from a light novel where you as you play the light novel, it's you making mistakes and having to go back in time.
It's not even that. Your first 10 or 6 episodes of Steins Gate, let's explore the world, let's explore the characters, it's a typical visual novel, this is like your everything, this is your main story, this is like your A story before you enter the B story. And then when you get to the B story, everything's gonna start branching off. You're gonna pick a girl and you're gonna say, okay, this is where the story's gonna go.
And usually in a light novel, you'd have to pick a route and discard all the others for the anime adaptation. But for the anime adaptation, because it involves time travel, they can cram all of it into the same anime, and it's just incorporated so beautifully. It is the best adaptation I've ever seen.
Well, I really like this Steins Gate anime. It's a little bit bittersweet at the end. Where they meet, but then they extrapolate on that fact in the OVA in the movie.
Yeah.
So I really like that they finished it off, because by the end of the movie, that these two characters are actually gonna get together, especially because Kurisu feels the same way for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not because towards the end of the anime, you're kind of like, does she remember? Does she really remember?
Yeah.
But she ends up remembering.
And they confirm that, and it's just so validating from a viewer's
and
point of view.
she actually has to go through some of the same things that he goes through.
Yeah.
Not to the extent he goes through 100 different timelines.
Yeah.
She does it a few times, and she was like, "Holy shit! What did this guy even do?"
Yeah, and then they realize, what has this guy been through?
Yeah.
And the other thing I really love, because I went into Steins Gate totally blind. I didn't know it was a time travel anime. And I just watched it, and I thought, this is a slice of life thing. It's just about some nerd who's kind of pretending
he's not a nerd. He's a chunibyo. Chunibyo.
Yeah.
He's chunibyo.
We need a word for that in English. Yeah. Chunibyo is such an excellent word. I remember when I was in high school, for example, I thought that I was a nerd, but then I went into year 8, and then there was a bunch of new year 7 students who joined. And they were obsessed with Naruto. And they would do the Naruto run. They had the Naruto headbands.
I did the 1,000 Years of Pain.
You did the 1,000 Years of Pain.
Yeah.
And I thought, and yeah, I remember they had a scroll as well, and we would always try and steal the scroll, a la exam arc, and they would run after us and give us the scroll. And it was
which year did you graduate high school?
I don't remember, 2012, I think.
Also, same as me then. Yeah.
Nice. But like kind of. Yeah, so I did like kind of like, that kind of nerdy shit, like shit in like kind of year 7, year 8, and the kind of thing. Yeah, Chunibyo. Yeah, it means you kind of year 8 syndrome. I'm pretty, yeah, or the equivalent of year 8 in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that when you like around that age,
It's like you think your hand is like all powerful and shit.
yeah, you pretend like your hand
Or
is
that
all
you're
powerful.
the chosen one and whatnot.
You're the chosen one, or you pretend you go through some phase.
Yeah.
like it doesn't matter what phase, because Chunibyo.
There was an entire anime called Love Tsunobeyo and other
and
things.
other delusions. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. But like we have that in like every culture, right? I think every culture, like you go through the edgy kind of like teen phase where you go through
Right.
something. Like in America, maybe it's like the goth phase, or maybe it's the emo phase, or the anime phase, or something like that, where you just take like you find a new identity,
Yeah.
right, and it becomes all consuming. Basically, the only thing you can think about is Naruto. Your entire life revolves around Naruto,
Right.
or goth music, or like I don't know, Tame Impala, indie music, or something like that,
Yeah.
as well. And you get too into it as well. You get embarrassingly into it, and then you mature, and then you look back on like your year 7, year 8 self, and you think, what was I thinking? I was such a nerd. Like,
I don't know, like, you know, it's fun to have those memories though. And it's fun to like, you know, I still collect figures here and there, and you know, I still keep them stuff.
you never grew out of your Chunibyo phase. That's
Well,
why you
it's
don't
not
feel embarrassed.
Chunibyo.
That's why you don't feel embarrassed about just having.
Well, I never got the opportunity to buy these things when I was younger. That's why I buy them now.
really?
Yeah.
And now look at this. Like,
Yeah,
Jesus
and
Christ.
that's why I never got the opportunity to do it. And like, if life allows me to, I'll probably still keep doing it because you know, it's like fun. Like this stuff like is like I don't take these things out of their boxes because one day I want to have a room in like my house where you know it's just like my entire collection and what I've amassed over the years. And it doesn't necessarily have to be valuable. But it's the
Yeah.
stuff I picked out.
Nice, and I respect that. One thing I really like about Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions is that the kind of moral of the story, as you were, is that there's no point in feeling ashamed
Yeah.
of this. You should love what you love, you should like what you like, you know, kind of thing. You shouldn't care what other people think. And I 100% agree, that is a fantastic kind of idea. I truly, and I genuinely mean this, respect nerds as well, because nerds are people who have a passion for some
Well, nerds,
fringe hobby.
geeks, and weeaboos,
Yeah,
and
they have a passion
otakus.
for something that other people don't respect. Like
Yeah.
they're into anime, or they're into Star Trek, or they're into Star Wars.
Well, people
And
only
they-
respect it when it starts to go mainstream.
yeah, like Marvel. I don't think being into Marvel doesn't make you a nerd these days. But basically, I would
But
define a
reading those
nerd.
comics back in the day. And
Back in the
following
day, it would have been made you a nerd because
Reading-
you would have been made fun of. You would have been bullied
reading
in high school.
reading Extreme X-Men, buying the old figures. And
Yeah,
shit.
the tin lunchbox. Yeah. So back in the day, you would have been mocked. So my definition of a nerd is somebody who follows their passion, even if it doesn't mean like they get validation from their peers. It's not going to make them popular. They do it because that is what they genuinely love. So nerds are the only truly authentic people
Yeah.
in the world.
No, that makes
Hipsters think that they are the pinnacles of authenticity, and
No.
they go against society like, oh, authentic.
Just be yourself,
But then-
basically, and not everyone's gonna like you. And you know, it doesn't matter if like a majority of people don't like you, as long as the ones you care about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Like,
you should
are
do
there for
you. You do you.
Yeah.
and that's why I love it. Like, you go to an anime convention as well. People acting like total idiots as
Mm.
well, and you know that they're being genuine because there's no way that somebody would pretend to like kind of like anime. There's nothing to gain, socially
No.
speaking, from being into anime.
Well,
as well.
I've worked at conventions. Like I've worked at I basically worked at Smash since I was. Basically, since 2013, I've worked at Smash.
Whew, that's dedication.
Yeah, yeah.
And you must see some total cringy idiocy like going
Oh
on.
yeah, for sure. Like it's
And that's why you go to an anime convention
Yeah,
to see
yeah, like,
people
you
acting
always
like
see-
idiots. That's
you always see something stupid going on, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh come on, man! Like really, do I really have to call the ambulance for this kind
Yeah,
of shit?
call the ambulance. Jeez, what the hell has happened?
Hmm.
People like doing the 1,000 Years of Death too much or too hard.
Oh, it's just they like try to kick like punching machines, and you know they run around and jump around stairs, or they're not wearing enough clothes.
Or glomping, is that still a thing?
What's glomping?
It's where like you see a character that you like and you sneak up like and run up like behind them and like just hug them as hard as you can.
Oh my god, no! It's like we get stuff like that, but you also get like people taking panty shots. It's like really really bad and cringy stuff. You know, that's some of the stuff You know,
Yeah, and obviously there's a line. I'm not
You shouldn't do
condoning
it.
things that are straight up illegal.
You
right?
shouldn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't condone like straight up like sexually harassing people or doing anything that's straight up illegal.
Mm-hmm.
But for everything else that's not illegal, just embarrassing.
Mm.
Go for it. Act like a total idiot. Because where else can you go? This is like the point of an anime convention. It's a safe space where you go.
Basically, this is an anime convention for you. You've got like the exhibitors hall where like the majority of the money is made, and then you've got events here and there, panel rooms, maybe some guest stars, but like you'll be spending a majority of your time in that exhibitors hall.
Yeah. Because I would argue the main point is not all those other things. The main point is being with the other anime fans in the main area, acting like an idiot, and like cosplaying. And in a sense, cosplaying itself is a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's so lame.
Unless there's like a good stage and there's some good guests coming along, and maybe you'll go to that. But there's like at Smash, like we have some good guests, and sometimes people fill up. Like I know they actually called the Anime Man in 1 year, and they called in the guy who was behind the studio for the Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh, is that Bones? Did Studio Bones?
Yeah. So
something like that.
One of those guys came along. Bones has always come to Smash. They've always been quite a good a guest. They always want to come back because they meet fans in the international country. So it's quite a great place to be. But I don't know, with COVID-19 there was no Smash this year.
Yeah,
they are planning for next year, but I don't think we're going to get a vaccine in 2021.
No, that's true. But imagine next year with all the pent-up weeb energy, the people
I was due to go to Disneyland, and I was like, oh my god, my trip got cancelled. My money, I got all refund. Basically what I did with my refunded money was build like an epic PC with it.
Nice.
But I still wanted to go to Star Wars and buy a lightsaber and do the rest of that kind of stuff.
Have you ever been? I've never been to a Japanese convention. Have you been to like what's the main one called? Comiket. Have you been there?
No, I've never been to a convention in Japan. I do have a friend who lived in Japan for a year.
Yeah,
he did the exchange in Osaka. He went to all that kind of stuff.
I
did go to the Matsuri Festival in Sydney though.
Oh, okay, really cool. I get the impression, and this is just an impression, I've never been there, so I don't know if it's true, but the Japanese conventions are quite different in the sense that I feel like Western conventions are more wild because people just in the West, generally speaking, are a bit less inhibited and wild.
Yeah.
But in Japan, it's a bit less wild, but on the plus side, it's a lot more professional. You'll have professional cosplayers who like they make their own kind of cosplay and they like do everything. They dye their hair and they take it really seriously. And they go to every convention. They travel to different conventions and they make money off of like whatever their Instagram pages and things like that. So you see some really excellent top-notch cosplay.
Right.
Whereas but in the West you'll see a lot of shoddy cosplay. But I like shoddy cosplay. I like the fact
Smash had the World Cosplay Championships.
Oh yeah.
In that, like they do the Australia leg of it, and those cosplayers they go international. And they do the international comp and everything, and they enjoy doing that. So like there are some really good cosplays out there. Like even I think I went to Madman Anime Fest. That was quite cool, but that's like. You pay for a lot of things. Yeah, we went to Madman Anime Fest together in Melbourne.
Oh,
I remember I got
good
tickets.
Times.
I got the free tickets.
Yeah.
I said drive down, and then you met me at the airport, and we stayed a couple days.
That was so good. I remember owning you at Pokken tournament back when it was just released.
Yeah. Oh, that's a stupid thing. Yeah.
And also Dragon Ball like Z. Yeah.
And we did. I bought a lot of stuff from there. You bought jack shit. You went to like the JB Hi-Fi across the convention
I bought a microphone.
Yeah, and you bought a microphone. I'm like, okay, this guy did not buy any weeby shit at all.
You'll have to explain this to me. I don't see the appeal of owning anime figurines.
I'm not...
how much are these these two figurines? Like they can't have been cheap.
No, this was like $35, maybe $35.
It's pretty damn cheap.
This was an Ichiban Kuji prize, so like it's like a raffle.
Oh, okay.
I've got the ABC for that thing, so yeah, it costs a little bit more.
What's the point of having a figurine? Like to me, like anime is something to be watched.
Well, it's just like when you have it in your room, it just reminds you of that awesome show. Like as a writer, like when I write things, when I look at the different stuff I have in my room, it harkens back to the different points because like when I write, my entire shtick is to translate an anime TV series or a manga series into a Western style book to get more people into the entire genre.
Yeah.
So I look at the different kind of tropes I can take away from that and make my own.
And you get all of that just by looking at a character. Like
basically, because
you just Google a picture of them. And
there's a lot behind. There's a lot behind this figure. A lot behind. There's even like a lot behind this type of this type of expression that he makes. Because he's always getting into shit.
The anime expressions. Yeah. Because
And like with this one, it's like super posable. So like it's like not posable, but it's like a statue. So it's like, you know, it reminds you of a time where, you know, Deku will try to punch someone in the face and it didn't go too well.
which is pretty much every occasion he tries to punch somebody in the face.
But yeah, coming back onto, you know, the future of Shonen Jump.
Oh yeah, that was our topic.
And that was our topic. So we basically did a half an hour video on Sword Art Online and etc., which will now become a video of its own. But coming back onto the future of Shonen Jump, so
Yeah, because I think there's some really excellent shonen that has come out.
Yeah.
Like, you've got your Attack on Titans, your Demon Slayers, your...
well, Attack on Titan isn't Shonen, it's Seinen.
Well, what's your definition of shonen? Because I think in the West, the definition is different from in Japan.
You reckon?
Yeah, because I think that, like... Because in Japan, obviously, they've got Shonen Jump, right? And then the question is if it's in Shonen Jump, is that enough to make it a shonen? So, like, Death Note was in Shonen Jump, but most Western fans
Well,
wouldn't...
I think, what is Attack on Titan serialized in? It's serialized in, let me
got no
check,
idea.
but it's serialized in like a monthly Kochana magazine. It might be...
Yeah, it was quite an obscure magazine, I gather, and like Attack on Titan single-handedly like made it skyrocket in popularity, which I don't really blame it. But like, I think that in the West, people would define a shonen anime as a show that has a like target demographic of kind of young kind of teenagers to young adults kind of thing, and features a lot of fighting. And I think for that reason, a lot of kind of
So
people...
it's basically in Kochana's Besatsu Shonen magazine. Okay.
so it is a shonen magazine.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Besatsu. But you know, the monthly stuff is more... Attack on Titan is more on the Claymore side of things. You know Claymore?
Yeah. So it's kind of a bit too violent. I think a lot of people would...
Violent, gory themes are like hugely...
So people might say it's too violent to be called a shonen. So I think like for a lot people who
And
are
the
very...
themes are too dark.
Yeah, and it's also very political as well at times.
Yeah.
That's one thing that really fascinated me is that in the latest series, very little action. It's just people sitting around talking, but it's so cool.
Yeah, no,
Like-
well, some people criticize that fact. You know,
I loved it though.
they dropped off like when season 2 came around.
No, I loved it as well. And this is the thing, like, it had a bit of a genre twist, where, like, it went from being fighting titans to, like, this kind of political intrigue.
Yeah.
And this
Well, he
kind
had
of
to change the
revolution.
story because of how popular it got.
Yeah, because he was intending to, like, end it earlier, but then it got really popular, so he had to change
Yeah.
his ending. Because
I think
originally he said that he planned to just kill all of them.
Yeah, basically.
I don't know how he would make an ending like that good, but anyway.
Yeah, I know. Like, but like, you know, people. I still don't see a way out. Like, I'm up to date with the manga.
Yeah.
Again, this is a spoiler in chat, so if you haven't read, if you're not up to date with Attack on Titan,
I haven't
the
read Attack on Titan.
Yeah, but like at the point the manga's in at the moment, it basically is going in that direction.
What, of killing them all?
Yeah.
I thought he said he was going to change it so that he doesn't kill them all.
Well, you know, I think Aaron's had a kid with Historia Reese, a secret kid with Historia Reese, and Historia said no, it's just some random guy that you know, that you know I liked and etc. But I didn't like.
Jeez.
But yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure, I think it was at the convention that we went to.
we did the VR.
Yeah. At the convention that we went to, they had some original artwork from the creator. And
Right.
one of them was a scene of like several of the main characters just getting killed. And that was... Yeah, don't you remember that?
No, I don't.
It was one of his concept art, like, that he had. And so this was the kind of original vision that he had for the ending, kind of
Right.
thing. And it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen. It was just like several of the main characters getting torn alive by the Titans. And that's how he imagined that it was going to end. I don't know how you'd make an ending like that satisfying, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But as you said, he wanted to change the ending because it got so popular that
Right.
he wanted to give it like a satisfying ending. So yeah, same thing with Death Note as well, right? It was going to end like at the halfway mark, but then like
They probably told him to go further with it.
they told him to go further with it. You can really tell as soon as
Well, in the
spoiler alert,
in the
L
Bakuman
dies.
series,
Yeah, they make allusions
they make
to
allusions to the fact that you know they wanted to end it at a certain point.
but the editor told them to keep
with
going.
Light and L taking each other out.
Yeah.
Because you know they are basically characters on equal footing.
Yeah.
Because
My theory, there's like a live action Death Note film. It's a bad film, but the ending is spectacular. And I think
Yeah,
that my theory is that was what the ending that they had in mind.
I
for them.
think I think L won in that scenario. L still won in that scenario, even though he had like
From my memory, L doesn't win. It's like Ryuk writes his name in the Death Note.
no. L writes his own name.
Yeah. He writes his own name, to die like several like in the future, so
Yeah,
that
in
he
the 30 days later.
30 days later. Yeah.
So when Ryuk writes his name,
it doesn't do anything.
it doesn't
yeah.
do anything.
Yeah. And I remember my mind was blown by that ending. I thought, oh, this was probably the ending they intended.
I actually went for Light in that manga.
Yeah.
I was on his side. I was like, he's actually doing something. Makes sense.
Hashtag like did nothing wrong.
Yeah, well, he killed Naomi Osaka. Not Naomi Osaka. What's her? I forgot her name, but Ray Pember's fiance. He killed her.
Yeah.
He killed Ray Pember. He killed anyone who was after him, basically.
Anyone that was in his way. I think the only thing that, in my opinion, Light does wrong is he leaves early on in Death Note. He leaves some hints for L to find him because he wants to toy with him like cat and mouse style, and because he's just got this massive throbbing ego, and he thinks he'll never find me, and then L finds him, and he's like, "Oh crap!"
L finds him, and then he sits next to him at his entrance ceremony for college.
Yeah. And then the rest.
And he tells him, "I'm L."
Yeah, exactly. And then the rest of the anime is just L thing. I know it's you. I just need to prove it. And the kind of thing. So basically, like he only makes one like blunder. It's like his ego.
Well, that blunder was more due to
his ego, right?
No, Misa.
Yeah,
Misa is the one who almost gets him caught because she's so stupid.
Yeah, that's right.
She sends letters by herself.
Yeah. But again, none of this would happen if it wasn't for like he could have stayed anonymous this whole time, like Light. But instead, he leaves hints because it's fun. Like that's basically it's I don't know, to toy with L.
That's the thing. Like Attack on Titan basically is the Death Note of this generation.
Yeah, but much more cleverly written.
Yeah, it's a lot more cleverly written, better.
Like every character.
And the thing with Attack on Titan is that there's not one bad guy anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it starts off, yes, there is one bad guy.
Yeah.
But, it's evolved into, like, I can't just call them bad guys anymore.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
who is really the bad guy? At the moment, they're asking the question, who is the real villain of this show?
Yeah, there's moral nuance, and it's very rare to get that in, like, shonen as well.
I still don't think it's Eren. A lot of people saying it's Eren. I said, no, it's not Eren.
Yeah. Who? What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, a lot of people saying that, Eren's the real villain of the show.
Oh, right.
Have you seen the latest memes that have come out?
No.
So you don't know, you have no clue of what's going on.
I'm only an anime watcher. I don't read the manga.
Yeah, you'll hate me for this, but like it's gone pretty far.
Oh god. And the Attack on Titan is one of those shows. Somehow it just keeps getting better with every season.
Every not every season, every chapter leaves you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, and especially into the later seasons, every single episode, because I watch the anime, but every single episode introduces some new like earth-shattering plot twist.
Yeah.
Because I'm just so used to... Because in the beginning, like, the first season presents a lot of mystery, right? A lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I had such low expectations. I thought they would never be resolved. Because
a lot of questions, yeah.
Because I'm so used to anime, like, presenting, like, mystery and then never resolving it.
That's the thing, like, there are a lot of 13 episode animes out there, which never got a second season, and they never really paid off all those things they started.
They don't pay off. They present the mystery and then they leave it there. And they say, if you want to find out more, you'll have to buy the anime. I swear they're doing it on purpose. I swear they're doing it just so that you have to go out
and that's why I don't bank on new anime all that much. I only bank once it's all done.
Yeah, exactly. And I've wasted so much time because I'm a sucker for mysteries. I'll watch it and then it'll put the question. It's basically like the clickbait of anime. Like, you won't believe what happens next, and then they never tell you. Or if you want to find out, you have to buy the visual novel.
I never thought we'd get to a day when Naruto actually showed Naruto's mother.
Yeah, exactly.
That was actually really good.
Or I was convinced that they would never show us Eren's basement. Like, I was convinced that something would happen. Like, that it would be crushed under a titan or something like that. They would never show you. But not only do they show you the basement, it's like, it's worth it. The wait is worth it.
And it's nothing, we didn't realize it was going to be that.
Yeah, and oh my, nobody saw this coming. Yeah. And it only becomes more twistier from there.
I think that was changed to what it was originally going to be. I think it was going to be something else in Eren's basement.
Yeah, I think it was going to be, something like that.
And Eren's got, like, the other thing is now, like, Eren's got a limit to his life now.
Yeah.
So Eren's basically not dying, but he can only live like not much, not very old. He's not going to be very old when he dies. That's the other thing. That foreshadowing, like Ishiyama just prepared you for that character's death from the get-go.
Yeah. And I really like that kind of as a storytelling. That's why I love like Breaking Bad. Like you know he's dying.
Yeah.
So he's gonna do anything. And I feel like that gives a great deal of motivation because a lot of the time like shonen characters risking their lives for almost no reason, kind of thing. And it doesn't really feel very realistic. But if they're dying, and that's why like I loved Breaking Bad.
So coming back to our topic, that's what Naruto did really well. That's what Naruto does really well in the West. Naruto does this thing where Naruto says, this is when I'm going to risk my life. I'm going to risk my life to protect something that's precious to me, or someone that's precious to me. That's the entire theme of the initial Naruto series. The reason why Naruto is so popular in the West, and why it's more popular, why it was more popular, and still is probably more popular than One Piece, is because Naruto is a character which a lot of people can
Yeah.
empathize with.
Yeah.
He's got no parents. He's bullied all the time. No one wants to be friends with him because
Yeah.
he's a nine-tailed fox. There's
Yeah.
something that about him that puts a lot of people off.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of fans can rally around the character. He's the kind of character that, despite everything he has, and despite the fact that he doesn't start off ahead in life, he starts off backwards in life.
Yeah.
He never gives up.
But I mean, for that reason, like my favorite character of the show is actually not Naruto; it's Rock Lee.
Yeah,
right?
Rock Lee's another
Because
character.
I feel he was my favorite character. Probably he's my favorite character in all of Shonen because he represents those values, right? He's
Yeah.
born talentless. He's not even that good at taijutsu, kind of thing, and he works his way to become one of the best.
One of the best. Yeah.
I would argue that he is the best when you strip away all the kind of
Well,
Deus Ex Machinas.
Boruto doesn't do him much justice, to be honest with you. Like the
No.
design in Boruto is like, what the hell?
They make him look even less cool.
Yeah,
because that's the thing. He was
like my guy look cool, and then they make Rock Lee wear this sleeveless thing, and his face is just like gaunt, and I'm like, what have you done to this character?
Yeah. And, like, he's not even that old. Why do they make him look like an old man? And, like, because the thing, he was deliberately designed to look lame as well. That's his thing. Like, he's, like, nerdy and lame.
Yeah, lame.
And somehow, I don't know how, but they made him look even lamer. kind of thing. But, like, the annoying thing, the thing I
That's
don't
the
like...
thing with
kind of-
Boruto. The Boruto like shits on everyone's design.
Yeah.
Everyone almost all the main characters. Shino looks lame.
Yeah.
Kiba is like, there and not that much. Shikamaru looks kind of like his dad, but Naruto looks lame as shit.
Yeah.
This hairstyle of Naruto's is iconic.
Yeah.
And they do this short thing with his hair. I'm like, there were flash forwards to the future where Naruto envisioned himself as an adult, and he didn't have hair like what do you see him having
Yeah.
in Boruto. I don't have a single Boruto figure.
Yeah.
I don't buy the Boruto manga.
Yeah. My theory is they made all the kind of old characters look kind of lame, so that
And they kind of make them redundant too.
Yeah, but my theory is that they did that so that you could now like focus on the younger kind of new generation characters.
Like, the thing was, what they should have done is what they're doing for Inuyasha now. Let the anime pass, let it rest, let the franchise take a breath,
yeah,
and then 5 years later, start it up again.
yeah. I think what they should have done, they should have like.
But they just kept shoving shit down our throat.
yeah.
Naruto finished, and then Boruto started. It's like, what the fuck? It hasn't even been 2 weeks.
Yeah. And another big problem I have with just the Naruto franchise is that it suffers from like power creep, right?
Power creep. Half the shit is filler.
Yeah, and filler as well. Yeah, the combination of those two things. So I feel like Naruto, like,
And Naruto's my favorite anime, by the way.
and you still hate its guts. But
I don't hate it.
controversial opinion,
I just hate the fillers.
I think that if Naruto were to be published today, kind of thing, it would get no attention. I think the only reason, because I think we have a much higher standard for shonen as well.
Maybe.
Because modern shonen has all the pros of old shonen, right? Like the action scenes and the themes and the premise and the character building and blah blah blah, the comedy. It has all the good things, but none of the like bad pacing problems. Or if it does have pacing problems, like Attack on Titan has some pacing problems, but you can't compare that to Dragon Ball Z charging like a laser for 3 episodes. It's not that bad, kind of thing. So and it doesn't have like the problems like with budget cuts as well, like. There's like a famous like Neon Genesis Evangelion is a fantastic example of that, where the animation looks fantastic, and then
Yeah.
Japan suffered like an economic crisis, and then it just fell off this like a bloody cliff.
Yeah.
And suddenly like there's the entire episodes
Yeah.
where it's just done with barely any color, barely any movement,
Yeah.
and barely any lip flaps as well, and they're standing in an elevator for 3 minutes doing nothing as well, and then the creators of the like anime just like profusely apologizing for that. We don't have that now, like,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So like we hold our, like for example, like one anime like that is a B tier by today's standards is Fire Force, right? It does everything okay.
Well, Fire Force is actually created by someone I admire a lot. It's done by the guy
Yeah.
who did, or by, I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl, but it's done by the person who did Soul Eater.
Yeah, okay.
I love
That's
Soul
interesting.
Eater.
But I would put Soul Eater in a similar category of Fire Force, in the sense that it does everything well, kind
Yeah.
of, it does everything good as well, but it doesn't like do anything like new or exciting or like
If
stands out.
Soul
But I
Eater finished at the point where I wanted it to finish, was basically, Maka and Soul kind of getting together,
Oh.
it would have been a little bit more of a memorable ending,
yeah.
But, Soul Eater didn't do that. And it's still a good ending,
Yeah.
by no means, I don't criticize it all, but that's why it's a little bit forgettable.
Yeah, it is very forgettable. Yeah. So
Like, no one forgets Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
No one forgets that shit, man. Like, who's gonna forget Dragon Ball Z? Astro Boy to this day is still talked about.
That's true. Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z will never die, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, I will argue though. That
One
it's
Piece
only...
fans are gonna be like, "Yes, this anime is done. There's gonna be nothing left." And then,
One
and then we're gonna have an anime about Luffy's son. They're like, "No!"
I swear, as soon as One Piece is over, the One Piece fans are just going to evaporate. They're
gonna rest.
My work is done.
Crumble,
and then
they're gonna crumble into dust.
they'll crumble into dust like in Avengers.
Yeah.
And they will just evaporate into the heavens because it's finally over.
Yeah, my god. We actually did a video, Dude One, well, the original Dude Two and I, and he estimated that One Piece only had like a couple more years. I said,
They're going to be saying that for years.
I said One Piece is going to go for the next decade. It's going to finish in 2030.
Yeah.
Maybe 2031, maybe 2032. And
Yeah.
by that time, I'm going to be in my 30s.
I reckon people were having this exact same conversation when One Piece was like 100 episodes long. Like, wow, 100 episodes? Surely it must be nearing its end now.
There's just so many story arcs going everywhere at the moment.
Yeah.
And Oda's actually balancing them really well.
Because I think that one thing that he does really well is he hasn't, like, there's power creep, but not as bad as, like, Naruto. Because, like I said, the thing that was cool about Naruto was it was about ninjas being stealthy, sneaky, and skillful, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem with power creep is that eventually it gets to the point where they're just firing laser beams at each other. And then it becomes a contest of who has the bigger laser beam. And there's no, like, cool, stealthy, skillful, like, ninja stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's no, like, stuff like where you have to, like, outsmart your
But that's
opponents.
the thing with Shonen. In Shonen, the main character is often the most strongest character in the entire series.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of where, even in Death Note, that's true.
Yeah.
But that's kind of where Attack on Titan kind of throws
Yeah.
that const in upon itself, because he starts off as weak.
Yeah.
He gets the Titan power, but he's still pretty weak.
Yeah.
And now at this point, like at this point in the manga, he is like doing some OP shit,
Yeah.
but he is vulnerable as hell.
Yeah. And everything, like, you never know who's going to win because it's all, like, based on the surrounding environment, the people, everything. It's a political show.
Yeah.
As
And
well.
like when you're talking about the future now, and like, you know, My Hero Academia, and that's why the figure is here, it's probably the future of Shonen Jump, because Demon Slayer is finished.
Yeah.
Hopefully they animate all of that, because it deserves to be animated. It's a great story.
Yeah.
You know, like the ending was quite good. The ending was good in that, you know, there's a lot of ships in Demon Slayer, but there's no official confirmation for the ships, but they do something else which is still pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, have you read the last chapter of Demon Slayer?
No, I'm an anime only, like...
Read the chapter.
I'm a pleb
I
as
like
well.
I like the original source material. That's why I go to the manga. You know, I have all of Food Wars,
Oh.
all of Shokugeki no Soma, but I did not watch a single episode of the anime.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I like the manga more.
Oh, yeah.
And the manga has there's some, after the Aizen arc, there's some major story issues. And you know, I'm going to talk about Food Wars because like you should be up to date by now if you haven't watched it.
Only the anime.
You watched the anime?
Yeah.
All of it?
Yeah.
So you watched season 5?
Oh, I think so. It was a while ago. My memory's not the best. I'm pretty sure I have watched all of it.
It's the anime is just ended too.
Yeah.
So it's your
Oh, in that case, I probably haven't watched
yeah,
season
it's your
5.
fault for not watching season 5. But
Fair enough. Spoil me.
basically, like the author said, you know, I wanted Soma and Ero to get together, and I wanted them to get married, but there wasn't enough panels. I'm like, you dickhead. There was
Wasn't
more than enough panels. Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, can't he just write more?
It's like I said, because the anime, it ends in a really bad way. Like it's just, you know, it was this great. It started off great. The concept was great, but then it just ends so badly. It's just like, oh my god, you fucking dumpster fire.
Interesting.
And it's not Arima bad ending. Like, you know, Arima ends pretty badly. You know, that shit is scarring. You know, I'm happy you didn't watch that anime, but I was on Reddit when the final volume came out. And all I saw was this guy throwing his book into the trash and lighting it on fire.
I was one
Trash
of those
fire.
I was one of those people that was like, no, just kiss your sister, you wimp. Just go with your sister. Just do it.
He did that.
In the anime? No, he doesn't. Not in the anime.
He does that in the anime.
No, he doesn't.
In Arima, he does it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
No,
He
no.
gets married to his sister in the anime.
Yeah, but it's like a fake, like,
Yeah,
kind of marriage.
that's as far as they can go.
They have a pretend marriage, and then they say, all right, we'll quit it from here. And then they'll say, all right, we'll go this far and no further.
That's so bad, man. That's some fucking degenerate shit.
No, yeah, they should have committed to the degenerate shit. They should have just gone full out and say, no, fuck society. It's kind of, screw your social norms.
But, like,
they should have committed.
They shouldn't have done that. What
Incest is Wincest.
What Arima is really about, it's about this guy fixing his relationship with his sister.
Yeah.
But why the fuck did he have to alienate 5 or 6 other girls to do that?
Yeah, because he turns all of them down saying, so sorry, now I'm, like, marrying
He turns them against him. One tries to bash him.
Yeah.
Best girl, by the way, Ruri.
Yeah.
Ruri tries to bash him.
Yeah. But
she's the reason why he stopped trying hard.
Yeah.
He was actually like this like top notch guy, and this girl came and said, "Oh, stop trying hard." Yada yada. It's all futile in the end.
And the weird thing is that like he doesn't go back to these girls even after like dumping his sister,
because his sister is kind of like, "Oh, I don't want you to date anyone else."
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, you're just fixing your relationship with your sister. Don't do any of the other shit.
Yeah. But I was so excited by the ending. I thought that finally there's an anime that is
fucking degenerate.
There's an anime that's brave enough to go the full-on incest route. But no, they're not quite brave enough.
There've been other anime to do that.
I can't think of any.
There's this hentai version of...
Oh, hentai, sure.
Hentai.
Yeah.
It's not really hentai, but it's like a hentai version of Infinite Stratos.
Oh, okay.
It's called like HXH Eros or some bullshit like that. Where like, instead to power up his like little Infinite Stratos suit, he has to do lewd things with girls. Yeah.
Oh, is that Darling in the Franxx?
No.
No, okay, because that's very similar to Darling in the Franxx.
No. He has to do lewd things with girls, like, do lewd sexual acts, and then, like, this is some scarring shit. I'm happy I didn't read this shit, but I read the wikis because I was just like, what the fuck is this series? It was in my recommended on YouTube.
Yeah.
Freaking thanks to Trash Taste Anime or some bullshit like that.
But it's weird, like, as that premise sounds.
No, dude, he impregnates his sister in that series.
Oh, nice.
It's a light novel
Blood
series.
sister.
It goes all the way.
Oh, Blood sister?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, damn.
His proper sister.
Oh.
Like he like, and then he's gonna, and it goes full harem route too.
Yeah.
Because there is a main girl, but he basically does like the full thing with other girls too. He goes all the way. He does home run with like 4 or 5 other girls.
Yeah.
And he's got like a little house for his sister on the side. It's like, what the fuck is this shit? And the little sister, the older sister actually, she's older. The older sister actually looks like the older sister, like Chifuyu from Infinite Stratos.
Oh.
It's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, Japan.
It's like
incest is wincest.
It's like everything you want. I'm like, this is some degenerate crap, man. It's really bad. It's like really, really bad. Like, why do you do this? Why would you even make an anime to this concept? It's like there's this fringe creation. It's like there's this fringe of anime out there. It's just like, we can't be successful because we're not Ichinori Oda, we're not Masashi Kishimoto, we're not Taira Kubo, but you know what we're really gonna do? We're gonna push the sexual limits of anime to their fucking peak.
We're gonna break taboos, we're gonna grind the taboo to powder and snort the taboo.
And there's more and more anime that's coming out like that.
Yeah.
There is like freaking World's End Harem, the Peter Grill anime that came out recently.
Oh, yeah.
This HSH Eros shit. Basically, look for hentai Infinite Stratos and you fucking find this piece of shit.
Yeah.
But there are a lot more anime that are freaking going. They're basically borderline hentai now.
Because the lines have really been blurred in recent years. Like the controversial one was
Australia's MPs are like, what the fuck is this shit? This shit has to be banned.
Yeah, because I received
Kinokuniya, like that's our retailer for a lot of anime shit. It's no longer stocking volumes of this stuff. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, damn. Because I received a email from that politician, a press release, saying that blah blah blah.
You received an actual email from him.
Yeah,
real life journalist here,
a real life journalist getting media releases, and I'm like, to be honest, I'm astonished that politicians haven't gotten like.
I'm astonished you didn't make a freaking video about it.
Yeah,
you should have been like, I am the anime journalist. Look at this press release I just received.
Yeah.
You should do that video.
I should have done that. But one thing that surprised me is that the politicians haven't caught on to this sooner as well, because a lot of what happens in anime is pretty messed up as well. Because Or for that matter, like, I'm surprised, like, the feminists haven't caught on to anime, like, sooner.
Oh my god.
Because,
there's
like...
some degenerate shit out there.
Yeah, because, like, the kind of feminist critique, like, yes, objectifying women, blah, 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 as well. Yeah, that's all fair and good. But, like, anime does that, like, times 100. Like,
You know, I know every guy has their secret stash of shit they keep. You've seen my secret stash, and all my secrets... It was those Pacteo cards from Negima.
that's not that bad.
It's pretty... I like those cards. You know,
You're speaking to a true degenerate, like, as well. Like, nothing
Yeah,
that you own
You do remember when you freaking signed into my Google Chrome on my laptop, and then one day somehow I looked at the history and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Oh, yeah, I signed into my Gmail. This is my, like, fear, because because of the way that Google works, whenever I sign into my Gmail on any computer...
So whatever you had seen yesterday, I could see that you'd seen that shit. I was like, what the fuck have you done, dude? Get rid of this shit off my computer.
And this is the fear, like, whenever I log into Gmail as well, it also logs into YouTube, it logs into, like, everything. So, like, if somebody opens up youtube.com...
they have your history.
They can see my history, they can see my recommended videos. Oh, man. Like, this is the
FBI, open up.
Yeah. And this is the really embarrassing thing without the algorithm. The algorithm knows what you watch. The algorithm knows what you want. The algorithm it's like the mirror of Erised in Harry Potter. It shows you the deepest, truest desire of your heart. And I know that my heart is just utter trash.
The algorithm tempts you with whatever everyone else is watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like what I do is like if I don't like a video, I just say, why the fuck is this here? Get it out of here.
Yeah.
You know, there was a stage where like I was seeing all these ads by like, you know, like different YouTubers about stupid mobile games. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Get it out of here.
Yeah. Because it knows that, you're into anime, you're into games.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to go drop $100 on like a mobile game.
Yeah. But it knows like, he's the kind of person that buys like $100 figurines. Maybe he'll be stupid enough to buy $100 like
you've seen,
pixels.
I bought that $900 Sume, Naruto, and Sasuke.
Jesus, man.
that keeps its value though.
I guess.
I could sell that tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess.
Buy that camera. It was either going to be that or the camera. The camera was going to freaking depreciate though.
Yeah, but, I mean, you could use a camera.
And it will depreciate. That I could keep that figure and it'll appreciate in its value.
Well, you better. Well,
there's only 1,000 of those made.
I mean, you'd better hope it appreciates. Otherwise,
no, it'll appreciate. It's all good.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
All good.
Oh,
it's all good.
But another thing, like, because I think like the lines. Have you heard of the anime Interspecies Reviewers?
I've heard of some stupid interspecies anime.
Yeah, so basically the premise of the show, and I'm astonished that this is a premise, is that there's a bunch of... It's set in a fantasy setting, and there's a bunch of adventurers who go around to different brothels that are owned by various fantasy creatures, whether they are goblins, or zombies, or fairies, or angels, or demons, or salamanders, or whatever, and they have sex with these prostitutes, and then they review them. That's the entire premise of the show. Like,
this shit was supposed to be critically acclaimed.
I don't know about that, but it was very popular.
What the fuck?
And it got kicked off of I think it was like Funimation or something like that because it was too far. And because like in episode 3 there's a full on like sex scene. Like you see everything as well.
Right.
Like, yeah.
That's the thing, like the first anime that I had that had like an uncensored pair of, you know, whatever females have on their chest, was Egi, and it's totally
the word you're looking for is oppai.
It's totally left field. You don't even realize it's gonna happen. It's just like somehow her top falls off. It's like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah. But I think we've come full circle because like in like you look at 80s and 90s anime as well. Like that's common. Like you just see tits, and you're like, oh, okay, there we go. But then like I think in like the 90s and like the noughties, is that what we're calling it now? That's when like things started getting more censored, and then now we're going full circle, and now you can have anime straight up about a bunch of people just going to like brothels and having sex with various like semi-animal, semi-human kind of thing.
Well, that's why I didn't do the whole Beastars thing, because she was like a promiscuous rabbit in that, wasn't she?
Yeah. So like the rabbit is like
that ends in like 3 chapters apparently.
Yeah, Beastars is really good. Like I genuinely believe like. Not good in an ironic kind of like because it's like genuinely the character writing is really subtle and the kind of character development is really complicated and every character has depth and complexity, and then it'll present like the most unlikable character and you think this character's an asshole, a bully, and blah blah blah, and then it'll have like the classical anime flashback and suddenly all of their actions make sense and each and every one of the characters is lovable in their own way. No matter how monstrous, no matter how terrible it is, their motivations are at least understandable. And like, just, it is really advanced kind of level stuff.
Yeah.
But this is, going back to what I was saying about the YouTube algorithm. If someone were to ask me, what are the top anime? I would list off like something like Beastars or Steins Gate or like Fate Zero. But the YouTube algorithm like knows that what I actually like kind of thing, tends to be
because
interspecies reviewers.
I don't know, but the thing is, like, I like watching little clips of anime, but then like some of the YouTubers that do little clips of anime, like they do some of the more risque stuff. And so when they post that stuff, then I'm like, okay, no, like that's how I encountered Pretty Grill. Because I just thought it was like just some random normal anime type of shit, but it wasn't. It was like this out there thing that I don't want to watch.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, you come back from a day of hard work, you don't want to think when watching anime. You want to watch something stupid.
Well, not stupid, it's something simple that you'd be happy with a half an hour episode of anime.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that did it for me was Gundam Build Fighters. Because there was like a lot of the Gundam anime are really heavy, and like so many people die, and you care about what happens next.
And some of it is just robots smashing into each other.
The Build Fighters thing was basically Gundam at Beyblades.
Yeah.
And it was just so good. I guess I can wait for the next week's episode. I'm so happy about that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I don't know. Like now, talking about the future of shonen. Like
we keep getting sidetracked.
This video is going to be labeled as something else, or this podcast is going to be labeled as something else. But the future of shonen. Okay, here's what I think is going to happen. I think One Piece is going to end in 9 years, and if
9 years,
and My Hero Academia will probably end around that same time. I think My Hero Academia is like it's fairly close to its little time skip arc that it's gonna have. You don't follow the manga, do you?
No, I can't see into the future like you
so
can.
I think My Hero Academia max will go till 2030. It won't go any further. Just because of the way it's being written now. Look, My Hero Academia is a good anime. It's basically a lot of the things that we're getting now is like they're more Naruto. So Black Clover and My Hero Academia are basically Naruto type animes. But you know, My Hero Academia was a little bit smarter in the way he presented his main male character. Because like we can actually, he's weak and he's still weak, and like he has to earn everything he gets. It's a combination of Rock Lee and Naruto.
Yeah, and the thing I like about him is that he's the only shonen protagonist that I can think of.
Maybe he really is a combination of Rock Lee and Naruto, because the green scheme he's got going is very reminiscent of Rock Lee.
Yeah, and I think this is the thing about I love about My Hero Academia is that the whole theme is the idea of hard work.
Yeah.
Right. Every single character that is strong gets that way because they work really hard. And they use like everything they have, and they use it in a very clever they all have ingenuity. And Deku is the only shonen protagonist that I can think of that I would describe as intelligent, basically. Like, all the other kind of shonen protagonists are like dumbasses who brute force their way to the top.
Naruto was cunning.
Was he?
Yeah, he was always...
How?
That's the thing. Naruto has always been described as one of the most... He's not smart, but he's cunning. Because...
How?
Well, that's how he beats... in his first fight with... the guy who tries to kill Iruka, he basically hides the fact that he can do the Shadow Clone Jutsu.
He doesn't hide the fact, he's just learned it.
In his fight with Kiba, you really see his cunning. He's smart with how he defeats Kiba. He
wins by farting on him by accident!
No, but he initially uses the transformation jutsu, the substitution jutsu, in tandem with the Shadow Clone jutsus. So it's not like he goes 1,000 Shadow Clones. Same thing with Gaara. With Gaara, he actually has to be smart with what he does.
Does he? How? How does he... what smart thing does he do, when he's fighting Gaara?
Well, with Gaara, he actually has to summon... He actually has to use the Nine Tails Chakra. And it's not like
That's not smart.
It is smart.
How?
And summoning Gama Bunta as well.
That's not smart.
That's smart. Why wouldn't you summon Gama Bunta?
Exactly. That's why it's not smart. It's just the obvious move to do. And this is the annoying thing about Naruto, right? Is that I would argue
in the early parts of it, Naruto was a very smart and cunning character. You got to give me that.
In the beginning,
especially in the Forest of Death. You see, he's very smart with the way he uses his Shadow Clone Jutsu.
Yeah.
Because basically, he does 1,000 thing again, but he's fighting Genjutsu. So what he does is transform into
his party members, and then makes them...
So he does things that were really, really smart initially.
Yeah. I would argue that all of the fights in early Naruto were smart fights, right?
Yeah.
Because like it's very ninja-like in the sense that they have very not very powerful abilities, but they have very
And then
tricky
Sasuke,
abilities.
for that matter, as well. Like he also he realizes he has to copy Rock Lee, and luckily he's the only guy to do that
Yeah.
to win his match in
Yeah.
the preliminaries.
And the thing that I find really cool about the earlier episodes is like the skillful use of very like abilities. Like for example, when like Sasuke, he will like throw a shuriken, and then he'll throw a second shuriken to knock the other one, so
Yeah.
that it changes the direction,
direction,
unexpectedly.
yeah.
Or you know
What-
things like he'll throw a giant, like, what is it called, the shuriken, and then hidden underneath the shuriken is like in the shadow of the shuriken is another shuriken, but hidden inside that shuriken, it's actually not a shuriken, it's actually a transformed Naruto clone who then throws another shuriken back in the
It
opposite
wasn't
direction.
a clone; it was the main body.
Yeah, it's the main body, and then and things like that. It's like that. It's one attack that has like
And that's
4 levels of mind games in one attack, and you're like, oh my god.
That's why Shikamaru gets so much attention, even in
Yeah.
Shippuden. Shikamaru is one of those characters in Shippuden that, aside from Naruto and Sasuke,
Yeah.
he's probably the third character in the Konoha bunch that gets the most attention.
Yeah.
Because Shikamaru,
he's smart.
His entire shtick is being smart and being strategic with the way he uses his jutsu.
But the problem is that in the later seasons, you can't outsmart any of them.
No,
like,
no, you can't.
You can't outsmart like the giant Gamabunta or
But
like
Shikamaru took care of an Akatsuki member by himself.
Yeah.
Like, an Akatsuki member was strong enough to take a Kazakage out.
Yeah.
One Akatsuki member, and he took out like Hidan
Yeah.
by himself.
And that's why Shikamaru's fights are some of the only fights I really like in Naruto.
He
Shippuden.
does it with planning. Like
he does it with planning,
He does
yeah.
it with intricate planning.
But the thing is, in early Naruto, every character was like that. Every character
Yeah.
was like really cunning and smart and
But you
ingenious.
know, the reason why Naruto beats Pain in Shippuden is because of the intel that Jiraiya gets when he fights him. Yeah, it's the truth.
Yeah, sort of, but it's also a lot of just like random power ups and just
No,
using...
it's not. No. His fight with Pain
Yeah.
is an amalgamate because you cannot beat Pain without Jiraiya getting that intel. That's the only reason Naruto beat Pain.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also just the fact that he's a giant like foxtail spirit, and this is what
But
I
he doesn't use a foxtail to beat him ultimately. He doesn't. He uses the Senjutsu, which is like the furthest thing from the Kyuubi jutsu, the Kyuubi chakra. He uses Senjutsu, and even that doesn't work all the time because he's just learnt it.
Yeah, that's true.
The moment he uses a fox, he starts losing again.
Yeah, fair enough. But the thing I really hate about the fox is that, as you said, the whole kind of like backstory.
And you know, he uses a fox to try and beat Sasuke, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, I guess.
And you know, Sasuke is like, he's also using a power up too. So Sasuke is like,
Yeah. And this is the annoying thing is like in the later season, like the only like it's just fights between various power ups that they have, and it goes against the theme of like hard work, like
Yeah.
beats talent kind of thing, because it's just Naruto. Oh, he was born with this like foxtail spirit
Yeah,
inside
yeah.
of him, and so therefore he has infinite chakra, so he can
Yeah.
he can spam shadow clones over and over
Yeah.
and over again, and that's just
look, My Hero Academia is better in that sense because the characters are not invulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you may have a quirk, but that doesn't make you like, if you chop off Bakugo's hands, he's basically
Yeah.
powerless.
yeah.
You know, if you take out Todoroki for that example, for another thing, you take out his hands, I think you've taken out a vast majority of his power.
Yeah.
I think All Might is one of the few guys where, you know, if he loses his hands, then you know he can still do shit, but he's basically just using his legs, and he's not as strong as he used to be.
Yeah. And that's really cool. Like,
And Eraser is probably one of the stronger characters because he erases the quirk.
Yeah.
But then he's not physically strong enough to, like, you know, string guys up by himself.
Yeah, and he also says that he's weak against those, what are they called, mutation types or something like that, because he can't do anything to them.
Yeah, basically, if someone has like a physical mutation,
Yeah.
or they're physically mutated to be stronger, you
Yeah.
can't erase the quirk because that becomes genetic.
Yeah, and that's what I really love, is that each of the characters has very clearly defined
And the
like, strengths and weaknesses.
the entire basis of a quirk is to like have a point where, you know, it's got a limit.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you can't be totally invulnerable.
Yeah. And that's what I love it.
That's kind of where Shigaraki at the moment is total stupid because Shigaraki has All for One's powers now.
Okay.
It's just so stupid what they've done.
Yeah.
The Shigaraki didn't have to do much to get all those powers.
Yeah, because this is what I'm worried about, is that, like, in Boku no Hero Academia, I worry that there's going to be, like, a power creep, and eventually it gets to the point...
It's not. I know Deku said he's going to become the greatest hero because he said it in the
in the very beginning.
in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But I think he'll become the greatest hero with the side characters beside him.
Ah,
And
yeah.
there's a point in the manga he may even lose one or two of his arms.
Really?
Yeah. There's a good chance to lose his arms.
Damn. Yeah. Mm.
And if he doesn't lose his arms, he'll lose his use of them. But then you've got this chick named Eri, who's the most OP thing out there.
Yeah,
She can
yeah.
basically revert you back to what you were.
Oh, it's so good. And what I really love about like My Hero Academia, like especially like Deku, is that every single one of his fights, he has to use his head, his brain, because his
Yeah.
opponent's always slightly more
Always
powerful.
has to use his head.
And that's why I said he's the only smart shonen protagonist.
Well,
I can
in
think
this
of.
latest fight he's in, he kind of he's had to rely on the quirk a lot more.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really like each of the kind
And
of...
when he versed Overhaul, he had to rely. Actually, no, he used his head. He used
Yeah.
Eri. He used Eri.
Yeah,
It's the
that's
only
right.
way he was able to beat Overhaul.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he realized, like, wow, like, because she's reversing my injuries, so therefore I can just injure myself. deliberately.
Keep injuring myself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
You would have thought that his hands would have gone back to what they were because
Yeah.
Eri was on him for so long.
oh, you think
But the thing was, Deku was saying, "I am destroying my body as fast as Eri is regenerating it."
Yeah, so it's a very fine balance.
Yeah.
But and that's the thing, I really think every single character, the way they power up is they think of a new creative application to that power as well. On top of that and...
Except the villains. The villains, oh my god, like... If you watch the later seasons, you'll just say, oh, the villains are just getting, like, powered up for no reason just because they're on the edge of death.
Yeah.
But there have been plenty of characters who have been on the edge of death, but their quirks haven't manifested the same type of effect. So it's kind of stupid, because even Toga gets a power-up,
Oh, really?
and, like, because she's on the edge of death. And it's like, that kind of doesn't make sense. You're just buffing your villains up to make them more relevant.
Because usually that's what happens to the protagonists in most other kind of anime.
Oh, there's so much plot armor for the villains in My Hero Academia now.
Yeah, interesting.
So much armor.
Yeah. And this is another criticism of Sword Art Online, right? There are like several fights where Kirito has lost, but then through sheer force of will, kind of thing, he gets up and then like beats the like kind of...
Well, Kirito doesn't lose many fights, but he loses against Yuki, and they go, Kirito is allowed to lose now because he's not fighting for the world anymore. He's
Yeah.
not fighting for life
And
anymore.
he's not going to die anymore, so,
So that's why he doesn't really care as much.
Yeah.
But, he kind of surpasses Yuki as well.
Yeah, but like the thing is, like he would just have like these, like there's a moment in the final conclusion where like he's beaten, his HP drops to 0, and then by sheer force of will he gets up and then he beats the like kind of opponent for like seemingly no reason.
Oh, no, that's what he did in the Ironclad arc.
Yeah, Ironclad,
But
yeah.
he still died, kind of. He acted through death. So the guy had basically killed him, and he was just like, "Nah, I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm not gonna let the algorithm dictate my end."
And that's what I didn't like about the ending of Goblin Slayer. Have you seen like the last episode of Goblin Slayer?
I haven't seen the
He
last
dies, and then he just gets angry, and then gets up again, and then just defeats everyone. It doesn't really make sense to me.
But Goblin Slayer is a smart hero.
He's a smart hero, yeah.
Yeah, he's
but
like
the last fight isn't really smart. I think the way they justify it.
That's the thing. Here's the problem with One Piece and everything else. Like everything in shonen anime, and this is like even in Harry Potter, it ends with this one big war scene.
Yeah.
And when I'm writing the thing I'm writing at the moment, what I'm gonna do is the ending is not gonna be the war scene. There's gonna be a war,
Yeah.
but that's not where you're gonna be with the main character. The main character is gonna be somewhere else doing something else.
Excellent. I like that. Yeah.
Because the main character's shtick, and this is what a lot of anime should do, is he's not like my main character's entire focus is gonna be, I have to find this girl. Where did she go? I have to find her. That's my entire being for living. Everything else is secondary to him. He's not this guy who wants to be the hero of the world. He doesn't want to save the world. He just wants to find this girl and make sure she's safe. And even towards the second, even when he finds her, his thing is now I have to make sure that in my action of finding this girl, she doesn't go down the dark path. So now he has to become the villain in order to keep her on the light.
Yeah.
And it's a futile thing because she goes on the dark path,
Yeah.
and he has to go on the light. And it's we want to see that kind of subversive material.
Yeah, I like that because it's different. Because I think too many anime ends with, there's just some big dramatic
So, like-
clash, and the main character wins by sheer force of will. Whereas I don't like it when characters win out of sheer force of will. I like it when they win because they've thought of something clever, or
Yeah.
they draw upon like some piece of information that was foreshadowed like early on in the season and things like that. Blah blah blah. and that kind of thing I really love. And I think that's what anime is really good at, is really good at like clever fight scenes and people using their cunning and their wits to beat their opponents and to things like that. And I think My Hero Academia is really good at that. I think in nearly every fight, the character that wins is determined by whoever can come up with the cleverest strategy as well. And as well, the ones that I love are when it's multiple powers interacting as well. And that is the coolest shit I've ever seen. Like the one where, like, what is it called? The one where they're all horses, right? And they're all like several characters and one person's like sitting on top.
Yeah.
And that was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen. Because it's like teams of like 5 heroes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And all of their 5 powers clashing with another group of 5.
Deku used his brain with that one as well, like a lot.
Yeah. And every move that they do is just genius as well. And you're like, oh my god, that kind of stuff is just like so awesome. Whereas a lot of Sword Art Online, he wins just because he tries harder. It's
funny because my criticism of like that was that My Hero Academia was having its own tournament arc.
Yeah.
Everything has a tournament arc. It's so stupid. Like it's almost everything some sort of tournament arc. And, like, that's the thing. Repetition is the death of a good anime and manga. It's kind of where Naruto died, where with that big war scene. That Naruto only has one big war, but it just...
Keeps doing the same thing over and over again.
Like, there was just so many different viewpoints that it got diluted.
Yeah.
Like, because he was trying to do, like, 4 or 5 different... Like, not even 5, like, 10 different characters. Like, you had the Kages, you had Omoi, you had Kakashi, you had Sai, you had Naruto and B doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You had, like... You had like the old Kages coming back. Like there was just so much shit happening, and like he wasn't able to do it in a cohesive manner successfully because he was writing off the cuff basically. Something like that. It's a weekly thing. He has to plan.
Yeah. But he didn't. Have you seen? That reminds me. Have you seen Hunter x Hunter?
Hunter x Hunter. That thing's always on hiatus.
Yeah, it is. But there's like, do you know that scene where they're like invading like the ant palace? And chronologically speaking, the whole thing takes place in the span of like 10 minutes or something like that. But it goes for something like 50 episodes.
Right.
And it's just the most outrageous thing I've ever seen. It is literally just like 50 episodes dedicated to like something that takes 5-10 minutes, kind of thing. And it is worse than Dragon Ball, where it's the 3 episodes to do like him charging up the the Powerball. Although, don't get me wrong, I love Hunter x Hunter.
I don't know. I'm just getting tired of these big war scenes in anime. And, One Piece is probably one of the most guilty parties of that. Because, One Piece had like... The first big war in One Piece was the War for Ace.
Yeah.
And then you had Luffy's little battle against Doflamingo, which is almost like a war amongst itself because they led a coup d'etat.
Yeah.
And then they're doing another good coup d'etat in Wano. And apparently there's going to be a few more wars.
Yeah.
And like, is that all One Piece is going to be? Wars, and wars?
Yeah, this is the problem. I think that less is
because
more.
I dropped One Piece after Ace died for a while. And then I picked it up when Sanji... I kept going until the crew got reunited, but then I dropped it and I picked it up when Sanji got married to they wanted to get Sanji married to Charlotte, and then I've kept going ever since because kind of Naruto's not there anymore, and that's why I'm reading it. But yeah, it's kind of getting boring. And then the thing where Shonen Jump is trying to push a lot now with an ongoing anime series is Black Clover. Black Clover gets its own fillers.
I watched 1 episode of Black Clover.
My Hero Academia is the anime that should be having its own fillers. It's actually got the space to have its own fillers.
Yeah.
Because they're in school. But Black Clover is this anime that's getting that. And Black Clover is like Naruto. It's legit just Naruto.
It's
the same shit. He wants to be the Wizard King.
Yeah.
And
it's like Naruto, but even more obnoxious.
It's because he's not even smart. He's just a buff guy.
Yeah.
And like he's got no powers, but like, I've got this cancelling. It's like I've got this thing that cancels out magic. How fucking original.
Yeah. I don't know why that's such a common premise, because it's such a boring idea. Like, my power is I cancel out powers. That's so boring!
I was originally going to have it that, like, my character can't use, like, mana, or, like, he can't use this. But you know what my character can use? My character can manipulate gemstones in a way no one else can.
Ooh, damn.
You know what I mean? So I give him that unique ability, like, because no one's done it. So he starts off weak. But he has to hone that power.
Damn. There's an obscure anime that nobody likes, but I like. It's called Law of Oeki. Nobody's heard of it.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't actually recommend you watch it. It's actually quite a bad anime. Right. But there's one character in it that is, I take it back, Rock Lee is not my favorite character. This character is my favorite character. I don't remember his name. He has the power to turn towels into steel.
Right.
It's such a terrible power. right?
Yeah, but you can throw the steel sheets.
Yeah. But he comes up with such ingenious like ways of using this power, and this is in anime. In this anime, like people have ridiculous powers. They can fly and shoot fireballs and can summon like these giant monsters. And people have these ridiculous powers, and he has the crappiest power of them all. He can turn towels into steel, but he uses it in the most mind-blowing ways, and he like basically he just wins every battle just by outsmarting his opponents in that way. So I'll give you some examples of ways he does it. So he'll throw like he'll turn like it into like a steel boomerang. He'll throw it and he can turn it into a towel into steel and then back again.
Right.
So he'll throw the steel, and then he'll turn it into a towel so that it opens like that, and then it wraps around the opponent, and he'll turn it back into steel. Like, or things like that.
The opponent suffocates.
Yeah, or he'll like wrap a towel like up on like a ceiling on a pole somewhere, and he'll turn it into steel so it falls onto the opponent, so it sets up traps that way. Or he'll do something like he'll like wrap like a steel thing like with a heavy object with a steel thing, and he'll turn it back into towel so it'll drop onto it. Like he just comes up with all these incredible, and then he gets like a power up later on where he can magnetize his steel things.
No way, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he sets up like all these cool.
But only his steel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's only his steel, but he can turn them into magnets as well.
Yeah.
And he can do things like throw like things and attract other magnets to it.
And he can also levitate too then.
Yeah, and he does. He levitates himself using that. And like he'll throw some certain towels to make like a runway, and then he'll run through the runway. We'll get like a boost. And
Does he use small paper, like small hand towels and stuff?
Yeah, he uses like small hand towels. And another thing he'll wrap his body in towels, so people will go to strike him with a sword, and then before it strikes, he'll turn them into steel to make sudden armor. Like
Right, yeah.
And I can't even remember all the things he does with it. It's just so, and he'll use his like powers in combined with other people's abilities. Like there's another character whose power is she can turn beads into bombs. So he'll like wrap the beads into like his steel towel, turn it into a boomerang, throw it, and then he'll turn it back into a towel, and then it'll spread the beads everywhere.
Does he have to touch it to turn it back into a towel?
No, he can just do it at will.
Right.
And so yeah, he'll throw it, and then he'll turn it back into like a towel, and then the towel goes, and then the beads go everywhere, and then this other character explodes the beads like that, and just he'll do things. He'll make like tubes out of the it's just the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Is it a shonen? Where's it published?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a shonen. Yeah, but again,
Jump.
I think it was Shonen Jump. But again, like I don't really recommend you. Like the only reason I like the anime is for that
What's
one
that
character.
called?
Law of Ueki is what it's called.
It sounds familiar. Ueki sounds familiar.
It's an old anime. It's badly paced. Like it's badly written. The characters are not very likable. Like it's badly animated as well. I don't recommend it. But like this one character and the way that he uses his powers,
right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just makes
It
him
seems very anime-ish. It looks very Shonen Jump-ish.
Yeah, it is a shonen anime. Yeah, the main character as well is a bit more boring. So the main character's power is he can turn trash into like trees, basically, and his whole thing is he's environmental. He's environmentalist. And
Shonen, yeah. So Shonen Sunday.
Yeah.
16 volumes.
Yeah, and that
Is
is
it-
my favorite character. Like my favorite character is one who has really weak powers, but can outsmart his opponents
Right.
as well. And he is the prime example of that. In fact, I'm pretty sure he is the reason why I love that type of character. Because I watched him and thought, whoa, that is awesome. Basically.
Does he end up with the girl at the end?
The steel guy, no, he's a side character. Like, he doesn't really... And this is the annoying...
He's a side character.
Oh, not really. He's like a deuteragonist. He's like the protagonist's best
That's
friend.
so stupid. Why don't he seems like the more interesting character?
Yeah, the main character's not that interesting. Like I said, the main character's thing is that he turns trash into trees.
That's even worse.
It's pretty crap. Yeah.
So what does he?
It turns out that he is like, I think there's like a race of god people that have 10 powers, and he's one of them as well.
So he has 10 powers.
Yeah, in addition to his original like power, which is turning trash into trees.
So what other powers did he get?
So I think the god creatures have several powers. One is pick, which is like you can summon like this big like wooden pick as well. The other one is kurogane, which is summon like this giant mouth to eat people. And the other is I forgot what it's called. It's like you can shoot a ball.
Yeah.
There's another one where you can fly. There's another one where it's like you get like this super speed boost as well. They're pretty boring powers actually.
Right.
Yeah. And this is what I love is that like they introduce this like halfway through the series, like there's these god people with 10 powers, blah blah blah. And then it suffers from the power escalation thing, right? Because they suddenly just introduce these powers out of nowhere. But all throughout the entire series, no matter how ridiculous the powers got, the guy with the power to turn towels into steel, remains like up there with the rest of them. Like he can compete. He's an ordinary human, and he's like versing these gods
Right.
as well with their 10 OP powers as well, and he still wins. Oh, and the bad guy also has pretty cool powers. He has the power to make things heavier or lighter as
Right.
well. And he comes up with really like clever ways of like utilizing that power as well. So that's yeah.
Oh, it sounds like a good anime. It sounds.
It's not.
It sounds interesting. To me,
My
it sounds
sales
interesting.
pitch made it sound good. It's not a good anime.
It sounds interesting, but I don't
Only
know.
those two characters are interesting. The deuteragonist and the
When I
antagonist.
think of the future, I think there's not going to be such a thing as the long-running anime anymore.
Yeah.
I think that is a breed that is going to die out very, very soon.
I think that's
and
good.
It's going to be more about high-quality, shorter seasons of anime.
Yeah, in my opinion, 26 episodes is the perfect length for a good anime as well. Because 13 is a bit short. Any more than that, 52, that's too long.
Well, My Hero Academia is going to go for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just I'm a bit worried about why it's so seasonal. And they're going to
Yeah.
catch up really soon. They have to do fillers. They're going to have to do a year of fillers.
They'll have to. But the thing I really love about My Hero Academia is that it never gets as intelligent as that, like Steel, the Towel into Steel guy.
Yeah.
But all of the characters use their abilities in really quite creative ways
Yeah.
as well.
Like, what's his name? Mineta.
Yeah, like Mineta. Because that's a perfect example. His power is so crap, but every time he uses his power, every time he appears in a fight, he uses it to great effect. It's great. Like even though like his like personality is really terrible,
Yeah,
the way he's same thing with Bakugo, right? Like I don't like his personality, Bakugo, but I think
He's really popular.
he's the most popular. I think. Yeah, I don't like him, but the way that he uses his powers is so cool as well. Like it's just.
He's not that strong when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly. The power to make explosions in your hand. Like, so who cares? Like, kind of thing. By the way, I really need to use the bathroom. Shall we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, we should wrap it up. But yeah, look, future of Shonen Jump and anime in general. Look, I think we're going to get shorter anime. I think once One Piece and everything else goes, there's not going to be much to talk about. But, when there are dark periods, that's when, like, the new things come to light.
Yeah.
We might get a new Big Three, but, we'll leave it at that. See you guys later.
I need to use the bathroom.
All right,
Okay,
see
bye
ya.
everyone.
Bye.